Morning, dear students. Today we will discuss from question number 14 onwards. Question number 14. In the refining of silver, the recovery of silver from silver nitrate solution involved displacement by copper metal. Write down the reaction involved. Copper is more reactive than silver, so it can easily displace silver from a solution of silver nitrate. The required equation is this one. Here, silver AgNO3 stands for silver nitrate, then Cu stands for copper. It produces copper nitrate, CuNO3 twice, is aqueous solution, plus silver. Now here we need to balance the equation. There are nitrate 2 units, so in front of this formula we will put a 2 here, so 2 nitrate. Then here 2 silver is there, so we'll put a 2 here. So this is our required answer. Silver nitrate plus copper produces copper nitrate plus silver. So copper is a metal which is more reactive than silver, so it can easily displace the silver from silver nitrate to form copper nitrate and silver. The next is question number 15. What do you mean by a precipitation reaction? Explain by giving examples. So in our book, it is written or printed here in page number 11 that in a double displacement reaction we find here that any reaction that produces a precipitate can be called a precipitation reaction. It is also mentioned here, this insoluble substance which is formed is known as a precipitate. And the equation example is given. So sodium sulfate when mixed with barium chloride, then a white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed and sodium chloride remains in the solution. So I have combined these two and written an answer, which is this one. Number 15. A reaction in which an insoluble substance or precipitate is formed is called a precipitation reaction. So question was, what is a precipitation reaction? And the answer can be a reaction in which an insoluble substance or precipitate is formed is called a precipitation reaction. And the example is, when a solution of sodium sulfate is mixed with a solution of barium chloride, then a white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed. So this is a sodium sulfate solution, and barium chloride solution produces barium sulfate, which is a white precipitate, and the other product is sodium chloride. So this is the complete answer. The next is question number 16. Explain the following in terms of gain or loss of oxygen with 2 examples each. The first 16 number A is oxidation and B is reduction. So we are asked to explain these terms, in terms of gain or loss of oxygen. So we know that oxidation is a process in which a substance gains oxygen or loses hydrogen, while reduction is just the opposite. In reduction, a substance loses oxygen or gains hydrogen. Now since here it is mentioned that explain in terms of gain or loss of oxygen, then we can simply mention the oxygen part. That would be also complete answer. So what is oxidation? I have written one answer. That oxidation, a chemical reaction in which a substance gains oxygen, is called an oxidation reaction. And then we are required to mention examples. So one example is magnesium. When burned in oxygen or air, it produces magnesium oxide. In this reaction, magnesium is getting oxidized to form magnesium oxide. So we find that in this reaction, magnesium gains the oxygen to form this compound magnesium oxide. Therefore, magnesium is getting oxidized. Since we are required to write 2 examples each, another example you can write is that burning of coal. So in the burning of coal, what happens? The carbon. So in the burning of coal, what we see that the carbon present in the coal, it combines with the oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Therefore, in the burning of coal, in the process of burning of coal, the substance that get oxidized in this reaction is carbon. Here carbon is getting oxidized as it is gaining oxygen to form carbon dioxide. The next one is reduction. So a reduction can be defined like this. A chemical reaction in which a substance loses oxygen is called reduction reaction. So example is zinc oxide. When it is heated with coke, then the carbon present in the coke removes the oxygen from zinc oxide. It acts as a reducing agent. It removes the oxygen from the zinc oxide to form carbon monoxide, and zinc metal is formed. So zinc oxide plus carbon, when heated, it produces zinc and carbon monoxide. In this reaction, the zinc oxide is getting reduced to form zinc. So how can we say that zinc oxide is getting reduced? Because zinc oxide is losing the oxygen from it. Now it is losing the oxygen and to form zinc. Similarly, another reaction for reduction is this one. When lead oxide is heated with coke or carbon, then it produces lead and carbon dioxide gas. Carbon monoxide gas. So in this reaction, the lead oxide is getting reduced to lead, as we can see that the lead oxide is losing the oxygen to form lead. So I hope you have understood this equation. This is carbon monoxide. Question number 17. A shiny brown colored element X on heating in air becomes black in color. Name the element X and the compound and the black colored compound formed. So this topic has been discussed in page number 12. So let us turn to page number 12. So here we find in activity 1.11 that heat a china dish containing about 1 gram of copper powder. What do you observe? So if we take some copper powder in a china dish, the color of copper is brown, shiny brown. So when this brown color copper powder is heated in a china dish, after a few moments, we find that the brown color substance becomes black. So why does it turn black? So it turns black because when this copper is heated, it combines with the oxygen present in air to form a compound called copper oxide. The color of this copper oxide is black. That is why brown color copper oxide turns black on heating. So here it is mentioned, the surface of copper powder becomes coated with black copper oxide, copper 2 oxide. Why has this black substance formed? This is because oxygen is added to copper and copper oxide is formed. So from this activity, we can easily now say that what is the name of the brown color substance X and what is the name of the substance black color substance which is formed. So the answer to this question is this one. The element X is copper and the black colored compound formed is copper oxide. It is good to write the equation. Copper plus oxygen produces on heating copper oxide. Next, question number 18. Question is, why do we apply paint on iron articles? So we apply paint on iron articles to prevent the objects from undergoing rusting. So when a layer of paint is applied over an iron object, it cuts the direct contact of the iron object with moisture or air. So the answer to question number 18 is we apply paint on iron articles to prevent their rusting. When painted, the iron articles cannot come in contact with moisture and air directly, and this helps in the prevention of the objects. Next, question number 19. Oil and fat containing food items are flushed with nitrogen. Why? And the answer is nitrogen is an unreactive gas and its presence can prevent the oxidation of food. Thus, oil and fat containing food items are flushed with nitrogen, especially the chips packets. They are flushed with nitrogen to prevent rancidity of the food or to prevent the food from becoming rancid. Now let us look at the question number 20, the last question of this chapter. Explain the following terms with one example each: corrosion and rancidity. So this answer we can find from page number 13, that what is corrosion, right? It is enough to write from here. When a metal is attacked by substances around it such as moisture, acids, etc., it is said to corrode, and this process is called corrosion. Here it is mentioned the black coating on silver and the green coating on copper are other examples of corrosion. Corrosion causes damage to car bodies, bridges, iron railings, ships, and to all objects made of metals, especially those of iron. And so let us look how it will look like when we write it together. Corrosion. When a metal is attacked by substances around it, like moisture, acids, etc., it is said to corrode, and this process is called corrosion. And the examples are the black coating on silver, the green coating on copper, and a reddish brown coating on iron are some examples of corrosion. And at last we can mention corrosion causes damage to all objects made of metals, especially those of iron. Here prevention of corrosion is not mentioned in this chapter, so I have also not mentioned in the answer. Otherwise we can write that corrosion can be prevented by different processes like galvanization, then alloying, then applying a layer of paint, etc. But in this answer it is enough to write as this much only. Next is what is rancidity. So here it is mentioned, have you ever tasted or smelled fat and oil containing food materials left for a long time? When fats and oils are oxidized, they become rancid and their smell and taste change. Usually substances which prevent oxidation. These things are mentioned here, right? So we can prepare a note on rancidity like this. Rancidity: when food materials containing fats, oils, etc. are left for a long time, the fats and oils get oxidized, resulting in a change in their smell and taste. This process is called rancidity, and the food becomes rancid. Then rancidity of food can be prevented by addition of antioxidants in food and storing them in airtight containers, etc. Chips manufacturers flush bags of chips with nitrogen to prevent the chips from getting oxidized. So it is good to mention these examples as it is provided in our lesson. So I hope you have understood all the answers and how to write them. Thank you.